or you need to ask him how
Another
God justifies his belief.
By the way, another weird thing that he said God was a necessary being. But if something is necessary, there can't be evidence for it, right? Like you can't have evidence that some mathematical truth obtains. So I don't know what he's asking for.
Why can't there be causal relations between a necessary starting point? That's just silly godlyish.
I don't know what it would mean to call a concrete object necessary.
It doesn't matter what you don't understand what it means. What you just said is just silly. I mean, it's so amateurish.
How's that
it's
silly?
laughable.
I don't understand.
Because how does it follow that if something is a necessary being, that it's not a contingent being, that it can't have causal relations and connections to other entities? How does that follow?
Because necessary entities are abstract objects. There can't be concrete objects that are necessary.
No, when I say necessary, when I refer to God as a necessary being, I mean that God is that which is non-dependent. Okay, that's how I'm using the term.
That's not what necessary means.
God, okay, that's how I'm using it.
So if like if something randomly pops into existence, it's necessary.
Well, let me ask you this question: are you a God believer?
No.
Okay, and why don't you believe in God?
Well, I just think it's incoherent.
What means it doesn't conform to some standard?
It just doesn't make sense. It's unintelligible, or it implies a contradiction.
And what is your plumb line in order for any predication to make sense? What does it have to cohere to? Yeah, do you know what a plumb line is?
No.
A plumb line is a string that has a weighted object with a point on it that plumbers and carpenters use. Okay, it refers to a standard. So if you say that a certain predication doesn't make sense, then it's not conforming and cohering to a certain standard, i.e., a plumb line.
Yeah.
Since you don't believe in God, what is your ultimate standard that things have to conform to?
I think there are epistemic norms that necessarily constitute agency.
Yeah, you're going to have, instead of giving me mumbo jumbo, speak in plain English, because a lot of people use philosophical vocabulary and nomenclature. I mean, don't overtalk me or the conversation will be over. Now, a lot of people like to throw out a lot of philosophical nomenclature and vocabulary, and they use it in different ways, and they use it as a smokescreen. Now, explain to me in plain English, what is your ultimate standard in order for any predication to make sense, or that a predication has to cohere to? What would that ultimate standard be, since you don't believe in God?
Okay, so it seems like you're asking me, how do I evaluate the coherence of a proposition, right? And I would just appeal to certain norms constitutive of agency, which are like norms of rationality.
Yeah, listen to me.
So if something entails a contradiction,
listen to me.
We got him.
Hold on.
No, I know you're not done. I know you're not done. No, the conversation's going to be over in a heartbeat. No, we're not going to wait. No, we're not going to wait. I'll tell you one more time. No, you want the conversation to be over?
I just don't understand why you
stop giving me your philosophy.
Why is
stop giving me?
I've explained this pretty.
I'll turn your microphone down and the conversation will be over. Okay.
I'm not
going to wait. Overtalk me.
Why do we just let Duncan troll?
We're going to end it right now. Now, I'll ask you one more time. Give me a clear answer. Give me a clear answer in basic English instead of giving me your philosophical mumbo jumbo. What is the ultimate standard by which things have to make sense to? And if you give me philosophy speak, I'll turn your microphone down and I'll put a note in your account not to talk with you again.
Does anybody else think that what I said was philosophy speak? Like,
wait 1 second, guys. Darth, why don't you just ask him for definitions of terms that you don't understand instead of threatening?
I'm waiting for a clear answer. What is the ultimate standard by which predications must conform to?
He gave you a clear answer.
What is that?
Let him answer.
Okay, so I guess he's asking what it means for something to be incoherent. Is that the question, Darth?
What is your ultimate standard by which predications must conform to in order for them to make sense?
Okay, in order for them to make sense, right? So in order for me to intelligibly predicate a property of something else, presumably it at least has to not contradict what I'm predicating the property to, right? So I can't say like the blue car is red, right? Because that would be
Do you have an
incoherent.
ultimate standard
I don't know what an ultimate
that
standard means.
every predication must conform?
Well, yeah, coherence is one of those, right? Like it has to be coherent. It has to make sense.
What is that what is the ultimate standard that you have in mind, please, and give it to me in plain English.
Right. So presumably for something to be coherent, it must not entail a contradiction. Right. So if I start at P,
your ultimate standard
proposition
is
P
the
is
law of
coherent if
non-contradiction.
it doesn't entail a contradiction.
Yeah,
right. That's the primary
is your
standard of
ultimate
coherence.
standard the laws of logic? Is your ultimate standard the laws of logic?
For something to be coherent, yeah.
Okay. Are the word law and laws of logic, does that mean that they're universal?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And how are you able to acquire or account that anything is universal?
Count that is universal? I don't know what you mean.
Yeah. Okay. Are these laws of logic, are they universal? Okay. Are they abstractions that for all entities exist? They always equal themselves and can equal their negation?
Yeah, they're necessarily existent abstract
Okay,
objects.
good. Okay, so this is universal. Now, do you have the capacity to account for and justify that anything is universal?
Yeah.
Okay, how did you do that?
They constrain our intuitive faculties.
I don't know what the hell that means. By what means were you able to determine that anything is universal?
Well, conceptual necessity, I presume.
Okay, so you determined that something is universal because you imagined it?
I didn't say imagine.
Okay, you said conceptual, mean because you think of something or you conceive of something. Now, why would any state of affairs that you conceive of? Oh, I'm not done yet. Why would any state of affairs that you conceive or imagine? Why would it be necessary?
Well, no. The point is, if you can conceive of it,
is there something in your
possible,
model?
right?
Is there something?
So the idea is
there something in your model of reality that is necessary? I'd like to have a conversation.
I'm not finished.
Is there something in your model of reality that is necessary?
Right. So I never said that conceivability entails necessity, right? Conceivability entails possibility.
Is there?
But
inconceivability
again. Sorry, hold on. Inconceivability is what entails impossibility.
Yeah, listen, dude. Listen to me. Listen to me. I don't suffer fools very long. Okay. And I'll just give you this warning like I give other people. If you're just going to talk past me and just give me a little community college lecture, I'll ignore you. Now, I asked you a question. How do you know that anything is necessary?
Because why don't you mute over people who overtalk?
Just let me know when you raise your plate, Darth. I'd love to answer all these questions for you.
Well, again, if the contradiction or if the contrapositive is inconceivable, then I know that it's necessary, right? Because I take conceivability.
That's gobbledygook. That's gobbledygook.
I'm trying to explain,
right? In plain English, why is anything necessary?
Right.
Is there anything that is absolute?
I'm trying to explain this to you, right? I take conceivability to entail possibility. That is, if I can conceive of something, it makes it possible. So if I can't conceive of it...
How do you know what's possible?
So look, if I can't conceive of something, then that means that it's necessarily false. Right, but for that to be necessarily false, that means the contradiction is necessarily true, right?
Listen, there are things that retarded children.
I'm not finished.
I mean, they're
right?
false.
So if I say I can't conceive of square circles, that means it's necessarily the case that square circles can't exist, right? And so you can't conceive of contradiction.
So, all right, hold on.
That's the epistemology there.
Now, all you're simply telling me is something can't exist. What you're telling me is something cannot exist if you cannot conceive of it. How do you know that?
Yes. That's standard modal epistemology, right? Conceivability entails possibility.
How do you know? Listen to me. I'm not interested in standard modal epistemology and all the rest of your mumbo jumbo.
Because you don't know.
I'm asking you questions in plain English.
I don't understand this, right?
Okay, now, when you say that something's necessary, there's something that's absolute. How do you know, by what means do you know that anything is absolute? In plain English.
Right. So I just gave you
to listen to me carefully.
I thought you were finished. Go ahead.
To converse with me, if you want to continue to converse with me, if you think you're going to fool me by you're throwing out philosophical nomenclature, you're not going to. Now, in plain English, is there anything that is absolute that you can refer to?
All right, there's this confusion here, right? He asked me, how do I know something? And I appeal to epistemology, right, which is a study of knowledge. And then he said he wasn't
I asked you a question. You are talking past me now, which indicates to me that you do not want to have a conversation with me. Now,
well, look, I'm just saying, right, there's this clear confusion. There's this confusion embedded in your question, right? You're asking me, hold on, I don't know why you're just over talking me,
anything
right?
is absolute. Is there anything that is absolute?
You're still just over talking me, right? Like so do you
Godlyish,
thank
you stop.
wait.
We're
Gosh,
done.
Godlyish, you're
So what I'm over talking? What are you talking about? He started cutting me off as soon. Are you?
This
are
is
you
your
dumb?
Godlyish. This will be your last chance.
Honestly, as a neutral observer, as a neutral observer, they're both talking past.
Absolute. What is it that is absolute? Okay, is there anything that's absolute?
By absolute, do you mean necessarily true?
Is there anything that is absolute and does not change?
It won't clarify.
I'm asking for a clarificatory question here, right? By absolute,
is there anything in existence that does not change?
Yes.
What is that?
Atemporal objects.
What is that?
Well, what is that? Abstract objects would be considered atemporal.
Yeah, and okay.
He got it by the ball.
And how do you know that these things aren't changing?
Because they constrain conceivability and they constrain our cognitive faculties.
Yeah, you're giving. Listen to me. Okay, we're done. Okay, all you're giving me is gobbledygook.
I'm giving you standard modal
philosophical
epistemology,
gobbledygook.
Right?
No, you're not. Listen, dude. Listen to me.
You're asking about. You're asking about modality. Right? You're asking about necessity, possibility.
What do you mean by gobbledygook? You're fooling me. You're not. Okay.
I'm not trying to
you want to talk about that abstract objects exist absolutely. How do you know that?
Well, there's an epistemology.
How do you know
mathematics
that any abstract object exists absolutely? By what means? Did you use your sense perception or did you use your imagination?
So it's not sense perception. No. I guess you could call it
from your imagination. Okay, so your imagination is the basis of your justification that there's something that's absolute? Is that correct?
If you want to put it that way, yeah. What's wrong with that?
Okay, so in other words, something is absolute because you imagine that it is.
No, because you can't imagine the contradiction. Therefore, it would be absolute.
Okay, so for example, are there certain things that retarded children cannot imagine but are true?
That I don't.
What you're saying is because you cannot imagine that a situation exists, because you can't imagine it, therefore it doesn't exist. And conversely, your position is because you can imagine that it exists, therefore it can exist. So all you're just simply telling me then is that which is absolute is whatever you imagine is absolute. Do you realize how foolish that is? Maybe instead of godlyish, you should change your name to foolish.
Right. So whatever any agent can imagine, I don't take it that retarded people can't imagine certain things, right?
What's an agent?
A person with beliefs and desires.
An agent. So an agent. Do they actually exist in your model of reality?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and does agency require the capacity to choose?
Yes.
Okay, and what agent did you have in mind?
What do you mean, what agent?
What agent did you have in mind? How do you instantiate that there's an agent? What agent?
Well, I take it that you're an agent, I'm an agent, people in this room are agents.
Oh, okay. And how are you an agent in virtue of what?
In virtue of my normative intentional states.
Okay, listen, stop giving me your bullshit responses. How are you an agent?
I have beliefs and desires.
Yeah, listen, dude, do you think I'm so stupid that I don't know that somebody is giving you the answers in your earpiece? Do you think I'm that stupid?
I'm answering all of your questions. I don't know what more you want.
Yeah, dude, listen to me carefully. Listen. Do you think I'm so stupid that I don't know that you're being given scripted lines?
Wait, you're stupid enough to assume he's been given lines because you don't understand what
lines.
Yeah.
That's not something I would do.
The answers that you're giving me are clearly, and I don't care what anyone else thinks. I don't care what your response is. Your answers are clearly scripted responses that somebody is feeding to you in your earpiece. Now, the point is simply this:
is that your imagination?
How in a world around you do you have the capacity, in virtue of what particulars or grouping of particulars, is agency meaningful?
Grouping of particulars. I mean, I take it you just mean what constitutes
you're the
agency,
agent,
right?
What is it about what you as exist? What is it that provides for agency? What's the prerequisite for agency?
Well, there are a number of conditions one must meet, right? You must have beliefs, desires, constitutive self-knowledge. You need to have reactive attitudes to other people's intentional states.
Where do those things emanate from? Where do those things emanate from?
They don't emanate from anywhere. They're irreducible. They're irreducible. They don't emanate.
Where do these things come from?
They don't come from anywhere.
Where do beliefs exist?
They don't have a spatial location.
Yeah, where are your beliefs? Since you're an agent, where are these beliefs? Where are they?
They're internal to me. I don't know what you mean by where.
What does that mean?
I don't understand the question, right?
Are these beliefs located in time? Are they located in time space?
They're temporal, yeah.
Okay, where are they?
Well, I don't know what you mean by where, right? They're not identifiable with any physical
beliefs
object.
Exist. Where do they exist?
They don't have a spatial extension.
Okay, so you believe in something that exists that's non-material?
Yes.
Okay, and are your beliefs independent of your physicality?
I don't know what you mean by independent there. In some sense, they are, right? Because they're not reducible.
Oh, okay.
But you do need physical.
Okay. Are they the product? Are your beliefs the quality? Are you a materialist?
No, they're not the product of my physicality.
They're
dependent on the physical.
Okay, your beliefs are dependent, so they're the product of your physicality, then, right?
No, they're not the product.
Then if they're
it's not a causal relation.
They're dependent, but they're not the product of your physicality?
No, they're conceptually dependent.
Okay, listen. Okay, so I'm going to put a note down in here not to waste my time talking with you, because you're just repeating. What you're doing is you're just giving me scripted lines that somebody is feeding you. Okay, and I'm not that.
He answered really quick. I actually don't think he is. Because he answered really quick.
No, he is. No, he's not. He's giving these gobbledygook responses. Okay. Do you believe that matter? Do you believe that matter, energy, okay, are all that exists?
No.
Okay. What else exists?
Well, there are normative states like beliefs and desires, right? Which I take to be irreducible.
What is a normative state?
It's something that generates a standard where you can be in accord or out of accord with it, right? And I don't think physical objects have this capability.
Dude, listen, do you also want to be banned from my server? Because I've seen you visiting my server.
I don't want to be banned from your server.
If you don't stop giving me your gobbledygook bullshit responses, okay, your scripted responses, or the conversation will be over. I'm asking you very straightforward, circumspect questions, and you're giving me gobbledygook answers. Now, do your beliefs emanate from your gray matter, your brain?
They do not.
Where do they emanate from?
They don't emanate from anywhere.
Really? So did they just pop into existence, or have they always existed?
I wouldn't say they've always existed, but
are your beliefs in terms of their existence, are they dependent or not dependent?
they are dependent
On what?
on the physical. They're dependent on their cultural norms.
So your beliefs are dependent upon what physical?
Well, I take it that
are you talking about events? Are your beliefs dependent upon events?
So I take it when I say that they're dependent on the physical, that means that they require dispositions to exist. Right?
Do your beliefs depend upon physical events?
Yes, there is a dependency relation.
Okay. Now, are those events, are there causal relations and connections between these events?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you know that?
Well, I think you have to posit causal relations in order to have a coherent ontology.
I didn't ask you if you posited. I said, do you know that there are causal relations between events?
Yeah.
Okay. By what means were you able to ascertain that there are causal relations and connections between events as a necessary prerequisite to your beliefs?
Right, because I take it if I have a belief or a desire, right, then that entails that I will try and act in accord with
That's not an answer. You're not answering
so that's
my
a disposition.
question.
Why not?
That's
You're
a disposition.
being evasive. You're being evasive now.
What did he say? Like, what was evasive about
I'm explaining
how do you account for the causal relations and connections that you tell me is a necessary prerequisite for your beliefs? How do you account for it?
That seems like a different question. How do I account for them? What do you mean?
I'm waiting for an answer.
I don't understand what you mean by how do I account for dispositions.
Yeah, do causal connections exist as a prerequisite for your beliefs?
Yeah.
And how is it that you determine that they exist?
Well, because I have beliefs, right? And then I can infer from the fact that I have beliefs that therefore there have to be dispositions. I didn't ask if you inferred it.
I said, how did you determine that in actuality that your beliefs are dependent upon causal connections and relations rather than each independent mental state that you have is just popping into existence? How did you determine that your beliefs? Okay, so you don't know?
Oh, wait, you're asking how do I know that my beliefs aren't randomly generated?
Do you know that there are causal connections between events?
Yeah.
Okay. By what means were you able to determine that it is the case that there are causal connections?
From the fact that I have beliefs, I can infer that there are causal relations, right? And I
didn't ask you if you inferred it. By what means?
Well, you're asking for the justification, right?
Because you because you have a chronology. Hold on a second. Are inferences does those entail a chronology of belief states?
Did it entail a chronology of belief states?
Yeah. Is you're inferring that there are causal connections between events? Is that an inferential process?
Yeah, an inference is an inferential process.
Good. Do processes entail causal connections?
Sure.
Good. So your answer is entirely circular.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, you do know what I mean. And now you're being dishonest and deceptive.
Like literally no one.
You just told me that there are causal connections through an inferential process, but processes presuppose causal connections. So what you're appealing to is something that already implicitly asserts causal connections. So that's begging the question.
Well, that's what it means to make an inference, right? I'm not begging the question insofar as you accept that I have beliefs. Yes, you are begging the question. An inference involves a process, doesn't it? But let me explain something, right?
Does an inference involve a process?
Can I explain something?
I'm done with you.
Okay, I'm trying to explain this, right?
I was liking this debate.
Yeah.
No, we're done because he's an evasive, deceptive little bugger. He's
He was
lying.
trying.
Have I
He
been
was trying to answer the
evasive?
question.
No, I don't care what you think. I know
Godlyish.
exactly what I'm dealing with here. Okay,
Godlyish.
you want to tell me
What's up, Graham?
that you determined that there are causal connections between events by an inferential process, but processes already presuppose causal connections. So that's begging the question.
Well, that just supports my view, right? If you agree,
does a process require causal relations and connections?
Look, if you agree that causal
relations,
inferences require
connections? You see,
okay, so if you agree with that, then we both agree,
the ammunition to know.
I don't understand.
Go on my
It seems like we're in agreement.
Being entirely evasive, and you're just talking past me. You're not having a conversation
with
me.
You are
being entirely evasive. You see,
if you seem like you agree with me, right?
I don't know the tricks you're playing. Now, I'll ask you once again: are your inferential processes? Could you have inferential processes without presupposing causal connections? Do inferential processes require causal relations?
Right, so we're agreeing here, right?
Oh,
that's why
inferential processes don't require causal relations.
Causal relations exist.
Okay, dude, I'm asking you a question. Keep on over. Okay, fine, dude. This is your last time. Talk to me. Overtalk me again.
Okay.
And I will put a notation down. Not only will you be banned from my server, I will never talk with you again. Okay? Now, do inferential processes presuppose causal relations?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're begging the question.
I don't see how, right? Because you agree that I'm making inferences.
Okay, all right, fuck off. We're done with you.
If you agree with the premise, how is that question begging? I just don't understand.
No, we're done, dude.
Presumably,
you're in BS mode. We're done.
Wait, hold on, Darth. Haven't you
accept all my premises,
circular
right? So
logic?
how is that question begging? I just don't understand what you're saying here.
Well, I heard Darth say
one second.
Circular logic isn't
what's
always
up? Godlyish, I was saying, I think you did fairly well there. It seems like he didn't want to let you finish your answers, and I'm wondering if there's anyone else in the room who thinks Godlyish was being evasive.
No, I don't think Godlyish was being evasive. Godlyish was on point like 100%.
Well, look, hold on. So JC doesn't like me. Let's see what his opinion is. JC, was I being like evasive or uncharitable?
Hold on. I'm what? He's deafened. So what? My question for you, Godlyish, is part of the concept of a belief. Does that entail that there are causal processes as part of the concept of a belief?
It does.
Okay. So if I find out that I have a belief, what have I established?
That there are causal processes.
That's what I took to be what Godlyish is saying. I don't take it that that's a problematic kind of question begging.
Well, Darth has admitted before he's not opposed to all forms of that.
What? Hold on, but that part doesn't matter. If I say, part of my concept of being human is being a mammal, and I say I know they're mammals because there's at least one human, have I begged the question? And when I say that therefore there are mammals.
Sounds analytical on begging.
No, we don't. No, but that's. I understand what you're saying, but we don't want to. It's not an empirical issue; it's a conceptual issue.
Exactly.
And that's not Godlyish's position. He believes that he knows he has beliefs immediately, not inferentially. At least not through his sense perception. Well, that's what we were just saying, because part of the concept of having a belief is the entailment that there are causal dispositions. That's just what it means. That's what the concept belief means.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good exchange. It would have been better if you would have been allowed to finish your answer.
He was just waiting for like a point for him to make it as if I said something stupid, right? And then he could just disengage after that, right? But I wasn't letting him do that.
Saying something stupid too many.
What you gotta do is you gotta be super patient with him and just kind of bait him, like, you know, just like be totally like surrendered to him in a way.
And the thing is, right, I'm not trying to make him look stupid, right? So if I just sit here and I don't let him get the upper hand, he's gonna get upset. So that's really all I was trying to do.